morning. The live took a little bit to pop on there. All right, so this morning we're talking about writer's block. Why? Because it happens to all of us. Even if we don't think it happens to us, it happens to us. And sometimes it happens to us in the form of just creatively avoiding getting in the chair to write. That's actually a form of writer's block. Most people think of writer's block as you get in the chair and you're ready to sit down and write, and then you're all of a sudden you have nothing to say. Now, that does happen to some people. It does happen to me maybe occasionally, but mainly what happens to me is the creative avoidance of getting in the chair to begin with. The writer's block that comes before the block, right? So let me know when you watch this in the comments if your writer's block happens before you get in the chair or when you get in the chair. I'm curious to know. But here's the thing, or if you're watching live, let me know. Um, Here's the thing. You can overcome it. You can overcome it either way. And the same questions I'm going to share with you this morning will help you to overcome it. So, one of the main questions that I like to think about when I'm feeling like, okay, I know I need to be writing. I have, lately it's been which book do I get back into? I have, as I've shared many times, over 80 books that I'm on my to be written list and that are in some state of writing. And I know that's a lot. Um, and I know that I can't get them all done at once, right? I obviously have to focus on one before the other. So, how do I focus on the one? Which one do I focus on? And how do I get it done? So, that's part of my issue, right? Is like, okay, which one? Where do I start? Where do I go? And so, for me, the first thing is prayer, praying about it. Okay, Lord, lead me to the next book that I need to be working on. Which is it? Which one needs to be published next? So, if you've been following me for any time or you know anything about my books, you know that my first book, Save the Butter Tubs, came out in 2018. Then the Bible study to that came out in 2021, at the end of 2021. The journal came out shortly after that. I can't remember if it was the end of 21 or the beginning of 22. And then in 2023, um, a new series came out. This is the part of the Worth Saving series, and then we started the Worth Pursuing series. And it's interesting that I have more books in this first series, but God led me to this book. And so I wasn't done with this series yet. And God said, no, 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 we need to do this. But He's teaching me things through this. And that's part of what I want to talk to you about is sometimes we feel this resistance because we need to stop. We need to wait. We need to let things happen in our lives that might end up in our books. And oftentimes we beat ourselves up and we beat ourselves up and we're like, oh, I'm not writing, or oh, I need to do this, or oh, we're dreading it's, we do a lot of mean things to ourselves as writers. We beat ourselves up about the fact that we're not writing, we feel guilty, all of these things, and then that doesn't help us write any faster or any better. But when we let it go and we say, okay, I know that I've been called to write a book. I know that I need to write this book, but I'm allowing God to do the work through me and allowing things to happen in my life that He wants included in the book, or the lessons from those things included in the book. Then it becomes more about walking in the Spirit and being led in your writing. And that's a whole different feeling than forcing yourself to sit in a seat and write. And so that's the question I want you to ask. I want you first to just surrender your work, no matter what your belief is. You don't have to believe the way I believe. If you don't believe in Jesus as your Lord and Savior, I still love you and respect you, and I hope that you still love me and respect me. We can still be writing friends, right? We can still work together. I'm not here to force my beliefs on you, but what I am here to tell you is that if you surrender your writing and let it flow naturally, it's going to flow better than if you're trying to force it out. Think about it when, like a tube of toothpaste, you have a tooth and they put that little silver seal over the end. If you were to start trying to squeeze it out with that seal on the end, you're forcing it, right? And so it's tougher, and it's just a little tube of toothpaste, but it has that teeny little seal on the end. And so you're squishing it, squishing and squishing, and it will probably burst at some point. And so will you. But that's not what you want, right? You don't want this burst, because what happens after a burst is you're usually exhausted, and then you usually don't write again for a long period of time. So what we don't want are these bursts. What we want is to peel that little seal off and just squeeze that tube slowly so that your words flow for long periods of time and you can get the work written. So I know that I'm working with many, many authors. In fact, I'm going to see if there's a way, if I can share this while I'm live right now. I don't know if I can share it from in here. I'm going to see if there's a way that I can share this so that some of those writers can maybe hop on live right now, because I know that they're struggling in this area. I know it. Why do I know it? Because I have struggled in this area and I don't want them to continue to struggle. So we're going to do a little something we don't normally do while we're on here. I'm going to hop over here on Facebook. Let me turn it down so we don't hear ourselves in two places. And we're going to go grab this and share it because we want to make sure that they're seeing it as well as you. So we want to make sure that, yes, we're going to post it right in there. All right. We want to make sure that it's getting shared, getting seen, so that we get you the help that you need. Okay. So normally this shows up live every Wednesday on my page, but I did want to go ahead and share it over there because I think it's important. I had somebody ask me at a conference recently. They said, when should we start working with you? When should we start your program? When should we join your writing community? And I think they were probably a little shocked by my answer, because I literally said to them, when the time is right for you. And I think they were expecting me to say, oh, you got to join now, and da-da. And that's true, right? I want people to join now. Obviously, I want to work with more authors all the time. I want to help you publish and tell your stories to glorify God. But if it's not the right time for you, it's not the right time for you. But is it the right time for you? That's the real question, right? You may not think it's the right time because you think, oh, I'm so busy and I've got this going on and that going on. And you may feel like it's not the right time for you. But the truth is, it is your time. If God's called you to write, it's your time. Now, those other things you have to decide, are they distractions? Are they just busy work? Is it things that are getting in the way? All of those things. So if you're here and you're watching live, let me know that you're watching live, and let me know again if your writer's block happens in the chair when you're actually sitting down to write, or is your writer's block happening before you ever get to the chair? Let me know which one, in the chair or before the chair. And then let me know, of course, where you're watching from. I'd love to know where you're watching from. But today we are just talking about how to overcome writer's block. And I'm sharing that my writer's block happens before I get in the chair. Once I get in the chair, because I have frameworked out my books so well, when I get in the chair, it's not that difficult. I can open the document, I can start writing, because it's like a puzzle, right? And I'm just filling in the blanks. But getting in the chair is my problem. Getting in the chair and staying in the chair and staying there long enough to actually get enough words to make a book, right? Now, I've obviously successfully done it at least 10 times, but I have shared and shared again that I have over 80 books to write. And if I don't get my hiney in the chair, it's not going to happen. So what brings me back to that chair? This is the big question I want you to ask yourself when you're talking about, we talked a little bit earlier. We've only been live for 10 minutes, so you can go back and watch the first 10 minutes if you're just joining us. But you can, the first part, pray about which direction you're headed. The second part, ask yourself, what does my reader need? What do they need? If you think about that, it almost brings me to tears when I think about it, to be honest, because I know the books that I have to write are for a purpose, to help my readers. And when I think about the fact that they have a need, they need what I am writing, it's a solution to an issue in their life, and I'm not providing it for them, it makes me feel just awful that I'm not actually doing that. And like literally, I'm getting emotional about it, because when you feel that the weight of that responsibility, you're more likely to go and sit in the chair and actually do the writing, because you're like, I have got to get this book out to these people and help them. So ask yourself, what does my reader actually need from me? And if you're not, if you don't have that answer yet, you probably haven't framed out your book well enough, because your book should be solving that, right? Ultimately, your book should be covering that bigger issue for them. Even if your book is fiction, even if you're writing fiction, um, let me know in the comments if you're fiction or nonfiction. If you're writing currently, whether you're writing fiction or nonfiction, even if you're watching the replay, let me know, fiction or nonfiction. Um, I'm curious because even with fiction, you are entertaining people, you're offering a getaway. Oftentimes, right? People read fiction to get away. It's a entertainment issue, it's a relaxation issue for people, right? So, what is your fiction book helping people do? What is your nonfiction book helping people do? Figure that out. Frame out your book, and that's a whole that that's something I teach inside my coaching program, but that's a whole another lesson. Um, but you frame it out right, and then once you get in the chair, the writer's block flows a lot easier. But if you can't even get in the chair, that's an issue, and that is my issue. So I know that it's waiting for me. The framework's there. The work has been done. The books are prepared. 80 of them are waiting on me. And then on Sunday this last week, I couldn't believe it. God like popped another one, and I was like, "Are you serious? You know I'm not being obedient right now, and you want to give me another one?" Um, and he did. And so obviously he trusts me to get the words out. So I need to be obedient and get in the chair and do the writing. So, what does that look like? How do we actually get in the chair and do that? So, one of the ways we do that is on Writing Wednesdays. Have been coming live to you for a few months now on Wednesdays. We're calling them Writing Wednesdays so that we can focus on writing on Wednesdays. And I have this time normally on Wednesdays set aside for writing. But today I looked at my calendar and it's full. I have this live, I have a client meeting at 10, I have something at 11, I have something at I think the one break I have something at 12, coaching my group at 12. I think from 1 to 3, so I have 2 hours. But 2 hours is enough to sit down and pump out 2,000 words. 2 hours. Now, obviously, I have to eat lunch in there. I have to, I could make a million excuses. Well, I have to check my email. I have to do all the things. But I could at least devote 1 hour. 1 hour during that time because I pick back up at 3:30 and then I have a 4:30. So today is just overcome with meetings, but I have 1 hour I could squeeze in there. And that's the way we need to look at our calendar all the time. Stop letting all the things of life get in the way because they will. It will happen. I guarantee you it will happen. I have been working with an author who, for over 2 years now, who keeps saying, I'm going to write that book. We're going to write that book. We're going to write that book. And then she's like, I have 2 books. And then now she's got 3 books and she hasn't started. And it's like, if you don't start, it's never going to happen. And you're going to have all of these books waiting and nothing's going to happen. So we have to start. So even if you've already started and now you've stopped, because I know some of you have started and stopped, and your book is waiting there for you, whatever stuck you're in, if you're actually stuck in your framework and you don't know how to map out your book, you don't know the how to, that's when you need to go ahead and come on over to my paid community, my coaching community, and get the help that you need to get the nuts and bolts done. If you're just stuck in the rhythm of getting in the seat, make this meeting me here at 9 a.m. This is free every Wednesday at 9. Make this a habit. Put it on your calendar. Meet Brenda at 9. She's going to say something about writing that's going to encourage me to get back into my seat and write. This is free. You can also subscribe to my Writer's Retreat box, and you get that once a month. And then you can set some specific time aside to have a writing retreat every month. Being intentional about your writing. That's the biggest difference. I'll tell you that the books at the top up here, these 4 books at the top, I co-authored those with my business partner, and we wrote those books and we published the first one in January and the 4th one in June. 4 books published and released in 6 months. 6 months. How did we get that done? Intention. We were intentional about writing. We made time for it. You have to be intentional about it. How did I write some of my other books? How am I writing some of my other ones now? Bits and pieces, right? Bits and pieces here and there. With this last book, A Moved Soul, it's written diary style. So my intention was to get it knocked out, like write it. I was documenting a process. I was documenting an encounter with God and how I responded to that. And it's was knocked out in a short amount of time. You can tell the writing because I started on October 10th, I think October 10th was the first day, and yeah, October 10th, and I finished it on February 11th. And so there you have it. Now, it took me a little bit longer to get it through editing and published and all of that. It didn't release until June, I think, of that year, but the writing happened in those time periods, and it's evident because it's written diary style. The dates are literally in here. So make an intention. If you have to write diary style, make it an intention. Even if you're writing it diary style, but you're not actually putting the dates in your end result, you're not revealing that it was written diary style to your fans, to your readers, that's okay. But the intention is there. And if you're making it if you're keeping that intention of writing every day and you're like, I don't care, it's gonna be like a diary, I'm just gonna get in there and I'm going to write whatever comes out, then you are making progress and you're getting in there, you're getting in that writing routine. If you only have, I know some of you are busy. I know some of my writers that are in my paid program. And again, if you're here watching live, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know fiction, nonfiction. What are you writing? Maybe you're not writing at all. Maybe you're just here because you're thinking about writing. Let me know. But some of my writers, they are busy. They have jobs, they have kids. I mean, it's all the excuses we could have, right? Because it's life, it's all the things. I was talking with one of my authors earlier today. She's having surgery. She has kids that play sports. She has grown kids that are married. She's got family that lives close by that she's caring for. She's got clients. She's writing a book. There's a lot happening, right? If you're in my stage of life, the middle stage, right? We're middle. We have our parents that we care for and go see and all that. Then we have our kids, right? And for me, it's not only kids, but it's grandkids. So we're spreading ourselves even thinner, right? And you have all of these dynamics going on. People will look at me and say, "Oh, wait, but you're just a writer, so that you do it full time." Okay, but I also have a subscription box business now. I have a coaching business where I coach my clients. I'm a speaker. I host events. I have all the full-time job too, right? And so, yes, while it should be more of my focus because I am an author and this is a full-time career for me, I have a lot of other things too. So things get in the way of all of us. We have to be intentional. So asking yourself, first asking God which book I should write, when, if you haven't already been given that information, and then sitting down and doing it. And when you're feeling the pull away, right, remind yourself, ask yourself, what does my reader need from me? What do they want? And then that's more likely going to pull you back. And see, here's the thing. If you're working on a Christian book, if you're working on any faith-based book, there's going to be resistance. You're going to feel the resistance. It's going to be thick. It's going to be heavy. It's going to come. Why? Because the enemy does not want your book out there. Simple. Does not want you to speak, right? Does not want your words to be heard. But here's the thing. In the end we win, and that you have to get this done, right? It will haunt you if you don't. I think I read a blog post about that a few weeks back. It will haunt you if you don't do it. My first book haunted me for 15 years. I was called to write in 2003. I didn't publish it until 2018. Now, was it the same exact book that I started with? Nope, it was not. But was it exactly what it needed to be when it got published? Yes. So keep going, press on, get in the seat. Don't let writer's block keep you from getting in the seat. If it's happening in the seat, reach out, connect with me. Let's get you in my program. Let's get you through the nuts and bolts of how to overcome what's happening in the seat. If getting in the seat is your problem, that's the easy part. I can help you with that, no problem. But if it's actually getting in the seat, that's the tough part where you have to ask yourself, what's getting in the way? What is it? Why? Is it just, is it that resistance you're feeling? Is it you're creatively avoiding it? If you're not familiar with that term, go ahead and grab my first book, Save the Butter Tubs. That's the first chapter talking about creative avoidance and how we like to do. It's not procrastination, but we are literally creatively avoiding what we're supposed to be doing. And why we do that is because it doesn't have a deadline, right? If you're self-publishing or you're just writing a manuscript for the first time and you're not working with a publisher and don't have a deadline, it's a lot easier to creatively avoid writing. It just is. You can put a lot of things in front of that. So you need to ask yourself, what is important? Is it important that I get this book out? Why is it important? So start with your reader and then ask yourself why you personally want to get your book published. What does it mean to you personally? Are you writing because you want to leave a legacy piece? Are you writing because you want your story to be heard and your voice to be heard? Are you writing because you literally want to help a friend or a family member, someone specifically with a need? Um, you want to honor someone in your life. I know for me, it was my grandmother helped me with my first book. If she hadn't asked me to write all about the good in her life, that book probably would have never happened, and none of this would have happened, and I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. I would still be creatively avoiding it. I wrote my first book in honor of her, and I'm so thankful for that gift. And maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you're writing a book in honor of somebody in your life. I can think of one of my authors right now that has a wonderful story honoring her son, and that book needs to be written. Why? Because if you were to die suddenly, who would carry that story forward? Who would do that? Like, it's our time. It's our time. We need to write. So reach out if you need help. Let me know what's keeping you back, what's holding you back. Even if you just want to send me a DM, you don't want to put it publicly on the post, that's fine. Send me a message. Let me know what's holding you back. Let's start the discussion, see how I can help you, whether that's writing Wednesdays that are free, whether that's getting you some free resources from my website, or getting into one of my paid communities. I would love to serve you and help you write and to help you overcome writer's block. Whichever form it comes to you in, or maybe if it's both. And just know that today I will be writing for 1 hour, and I hope that you will take the time to do the same. At least 1 hour today. But carve that time in your schedule. Figure out what that looks like on a regular basis. And I'm telling you, it'll transform you once you're intentional about it. If you say, okay, first thing every morning, I'm going to write for 1 hour. Or last thing in the evening. I was just talking to a poet on Monday night. She says that she has written since 2021. She has written a poem every day since 2021. That's 3 years. Well, just into the third year, right? Of writing a poem every single day. She says some of them are longer, some of them are just a little short haiku because they're she's tired, and so but it's the discipline. She does it every single day. So imagine, I mean, that's like 1,000 poems she has to publish in a book if she wants 1,000. So get into that habit, and you never know what's going to come of it. Even if it's not focusing on your book, but you're just writing every day, brain dumping, journaling, whatever that is, get into that habit of writing every single day. Pick a time. Maybe it's your lunch hour. Maybe it's in the carpool line, whatever that is for you. Pick a time, make it happen, be intentional about it, and you never know how God's going to use those words. If you are actively working on a book, get in there. Hopefully you have it frameworked out so that you are ready to sit down and write it when you actually get in the chair. But when you get in that chair, open it up and just plug away wherever you felt called to that day. If you have your framework laid out, you can start at the beginning. You can jump into any chapter wherever you feel led to jump in, because you have that framework there for you. So make sure that you do have that on the front end. If you don't, make that your writing task for today. Setting up your framework, setting up your outlining your book, basically. There's more to that, but again, that's part of my paid program. So if you're interested in doing that, hop on over. I'd love to work with you. Until next Wednesday, right? And you'll be seeing more of me. If you're in part of my paid community, I'll see you today at noon, and happy to answer any questions you have. So be sure to drop them in the submissions form so we can have a great coaching session at noon today. All right, that's all I have for you today. Get in the chair, get to writing. You can do this. Your readers are waiting. What are they waiting for? Answer that question and you will overcome writer's block. All right, take care, everybody.